This is Brother Peter, tidbits from the Word. I'm in our second excerpt on the book of Hebrews. Now I'm going to be using an analysis of Hebrews written by a man that is in the college that I graduated from, or that I've got my paperwork from. And this is Titus, T-I-T-U-S. Find it on the web. BaptistSeminary.org. You can find it on there. And this instructor for this class, his name was Ricky Emery. And he put this paperwork together for Titus Baptist Seminary on the book of Hebrews. And not that the Bible's not directly in front of me, because it is. I don't ever take a book, the second to the Bible, and go by it unless you back it up with every word that's in every verse in the Bible. And Ricky Emery right here is right on the money. Now let me tell you what, when you're doing an analytical study, it's not so spiritually important. But you will, if you're going to be in the ministry, and you're going to be part of some type of ministry, you're going to need to know some facts. And some of the facts right here in the book of Hebrews have been brought into question. We absolutely, positively, 100% need the book of Hebrews in the New Testament, because it's the same as the book of Leviticus was for the Old Testament. The Hebrews is for the New Testament, talking about the course of the shedding of blood, attempting to give an overall analysis to the New Testament book of Hebrews. As unusual, this will be a verse-by-verse exposition. And when you're going verse by verse and you're exposing it verse by verse, in this course we will cover roughly Hebrews chapter 1 through 8. Now, I'm not going to be able to do that in 10 of these little excerpts, but I would hope that it would spark the interest of some of you who are interested in getting into a Bible school. This is free on the internet. This course is free on the internet. You can get it, and you just punch on to that TitusBaptistSeminary.org. It's out of LaGrange, Georgia. The head man, his name is Dennis Farr, and all you do is you get in touch with that, and he will send you the literature. If you want paperwork, he will send you paperwork. Now the college, if you do it on the internet, is free. If you want paperwork, you want books, you want those type of things, you'll have to cover some cost for that. But that's pretty cheap to go through college. Now, exposition, what is that? That's taking it apart. That's exposing, exposition, exposing the position of the book. Now, if we're going to expose the position of Hebrews, who wrote it? We have many scholars, but I don't think there's anybody that can fall out with the fact that some Bibles even put on narration on the top of Hebrews, a book of Paul the Apostle. It has Pauline type writings. When you say Pauline, what do you mean? That's leaning toward the way Paul wrote, and he wrote 13 books. And in this course we will cover, as we do this, we also attempt to make a comparison to Hebrews to the Old Testament book of Leviticus. Now, Hebrews, without some understanding of the book of Leviticus, there are several reasons we make this statement. These two books coincide with each other. First of all, notice the titles. One is the Epistle of Hebrews, and the Hebrews were, of course, grounded in the Old Testament Leviticus, which means the Levites. Now, the Levites were the priests. They were the people chosen of God to run the tabernacle. The tabernacle had a great multitude of people. I can't tell you how many it had, but it was a multitude. And there were many priests. But only one priest per year ever got to go behind the veil and meet with God. Now that priest had to be without blemish. He had to be perfect. He had to have proved himself without blemish. And when he went behind that veil and brought peace among the people from God. And that's the only way it could be done. Leviticus deals with the ministry of the Levitical priest. And there are 37 verses that deal with the priesthood. One cannot fully understand the book of Hebrews unless he understands the priesthood. So if you understand the priesthood and the way it worked in Leviticus is the same way it works in the New Testament with Jesus Christ. And the ministry of the priesthood in the tabernacle and later in the temple was one of the sacrifice of blood. Blood is mentioned in Hebrews 22 times. In the little book of Hebrews, it's mentioned 22 times. Now you need to make a note of things that you hear. You can ask when you get to, if you decide to use Titus Baptist Seminary, when you get there, you can ask Brother Dennis for a chart of numbers. So through the Bible, numbers mean something in the Bible. And he has a little chart. Mine happens to be in plastic. And this little chart gives you explanation of what numbers are in the Bible. So when you come to 22, if you want to look at it, it means light. Well, what does light do? Light sheds the answer to a question. You walk into a room you've never been in before, and somebody flicks the light switch on. Now that room, you were wondering, I wonder what this looks like. I wonder where we are. I wonder what we're going to fall off the edge, or what is it? And what's going to happen? And bam, somebody turns the light on, and you find out it looks like this room right here. You say, oh, wow, what a surprise. I didn't realize I was standing in this type of room or whatever. Well, that's what studying the Bible is. Everything you do in the Bible, you're coming from room to room to room to room to room to room. And you're learning the palace of Jesus Christ. And he said that the great city, the New Jerusalem, is going to be a 1,500-mile square cube with gates of pearl. And each gate is one pearl. And can you imagine a pearl big enough to be a gate? Wow. And so we're learning things. We're learning things. Nowhere in the Bible do we learn more about the offering than in Leviticus, where those words are used over 700 times. The word offering is used over 700 times in the book of Leviticus. And as some have aptly stated, Leviticus is the Old Testament Hebrews, and Hebrews is the New Testament Leviticus. And the two books coincide. If you're not willing to study about the blood and study both of them, if you're not going to study both of them, you need not to study either one of them in the sense of the word. They're like a bracelet. What good is a bracelet? You go buy a bracelet, put it on, and it has no clasp. What good is it? You're going to tie it up with a piece of thread? You're going to tie it up with a piece of string? You're going to hold it together with a rubber band or what? You can have this beautiful bracelet, but if there's no clasp, it's not worth a dime. And this is the way it is. Hebrews and Leviticus are like a bracelet, and Hebrews is the clasp that clasps that bracelet on your arm so you can know how to study that Bible and how to use that Bible and see the goodies, see the jewels in it. Wouldn't you love to have a beautiful bracelet with jewels in it? I got news for you. I believe that we're going to have one in heaven. I believe that we're going to be decorated. We're going to have crowns. Those crowns are going to be solid gold, but those crowns are going to have jewels in them. What kind of jewels are you going to have in your crown? Are you going to send some jewels up there? I don't believe you're going to have anything in that crown except the crown itself, and it won't be decorated unless you decor it. God's going to give us the crown of salvation, and we're going to wear that crown. If you've got the crown of salvation, have you won others to the Lord? Have you got to the place to where you can win other people? A lot of times come and gone. We'll see you next time.